comes up. Let's do. Okay. Hi, Lee. Okay, we're going to lay down, as is traditional on a Friday night. And we can take our arms out wide, or you can rest your hands on your body if you prefer. And we'll close our eyes. We'll take some slow, steady breaths. And of course, you can have your feet on the floor or your legs extended. And I want you to just feel into the body and feel into the contact you have with the floor. And maybe you might rock across the pelvis, move through the shoulders, move across the back of the head. And then just simply find your breath, find your body, find yourself here. So we can let the breath perhaps deepen to introduce ourselves back to our breath. And then we can just let the breath do its own thing. It will find a rhythm that suits the action of the moment, which is, stillness here. So the breath will generally come to a calmer state without us having to do anything with it. It knows how to respond to the body, and it will respond to the body. So we can trust in that. Okay, and then we'll just feel into a little movement through our fingers here. So just a little wiggling of your fingers. And maybe you might bring a little wiggling into your toes too. And just pay attention to this small movement and how, even just a small movement of the body can have a really profound effect on our experience of the moment, of now, of presence. So we can bring into our practice a sense of kind of an open spaciousness with this, that we pay very clear attention to what we're doing with our body throughout the class, throughout, the various movements and positions that we'll place our body into. But we're doing it in a way that's really spacious. So we're not getting overly bogged down by the detail, so to speak. But we're just allowing whatever wants to arise out of this experience of movement and stillness to arise by itself. So it's a kind of trust in the process of, actually, we don't have to be the controller of this. We can kind of let the practice come to the surface like bubbles rising to the surface of a body of water. We just let them pop up. We let different experiences pop up without us feeling the need to drive that experience. Okay, so just as a natural extension of that movement through the fingers, we're going to bring a little movement into the wrists as well now, so we can just start to play with the wrist movement here. So we can give the wrists a little roll whilst we lay down. And then maybe we might move the arms out and we might start to extend that into more movement through the arms. So we might find that we start to lift up and move through. That's it. And you can play with any movement here, again, from the fingers to the shoulders. Almost like you could kind of dive into some water here and move your arms as you would feel them moving through water. We can feel our arms moving through space here. And then again, maybe we'll pick up the feet from the floor so we can keep moving into the toes and maybe bringing some movement into the ankles, some clicking into the ankles. It's normally my ankles, Lee. So we can just play with that movement, creaking bones. And just bring that movement up into the legs as well in any way. Almost, you can imagine like you're doing an upside down doggy paddle kind of thing. Just play around with movement so we can feel into, the body knows how to support itself. Sometimes we can be subject to a little overthinking in yoga because, we've had various sort of influences of yoga over, in kind of modern postural yoga that have kind of encouraged perhaps a sort of an over sort of fussiness with some of the yoga that we practice, to the point of, making little millimeter adjustments in the body to make the posture appear in a very specific way and to kind of perfect the pose. And what I would like us to do here is to, move beyond that. It's not that we're not clearly paying attention and mindfully placing the body, but, we're not moving, we're not looking for perfection in that way. We're not looking for a precision that is, the same for everyone. We're looking for a response to our own experience as it is now. So this free movement involves a real element of just trusting that the body will respond, that muscles will engage when they need to engage, they'll release when they need to release, the breath will flow as it needs to flow, and it all happens in a way that is integrated between all of our systems, or what we might call our systems, our senses, our aspects of being. They just all come into an interplay with each other. Okay, we're going to slowly bring our feet back down to the floor. And we're taking our arms out wide. We're taking a slow, steady, deep breath in. And just noticing where the body releases now. So you might notice how in that action that there was tone in the belly. The belly responded to the movement of the arms and legs, holding them up in space. We can feel perhaps release through the groin area, through the hips. And again, we can just give to it and just trust that that release will come by itself. Okay. Let's just draw the knees into the chest. Let's take the knees over to one side and we'll just lean into the floor. We'll press into the floor and we'll come up from our side. Well done. And we're going to come onto our hands and knees. Okay. Okay, so on our hands and knees here, we're just positioning ourselves as we most often do, with our hands shoulder width apart and our fingers spread. And sorry, just going to grab a little hairband. I know there's a secret one in here somewhere. There we go. Secret clip. That will do. So we can move around. Okay, so we're just playing with a little movement here through the hips, through the spine, through any part of the body. In fact, your hands and knees position is kind of your starting point, but from here you can feel into literally any movement. So just let yourself kind of again dive in, and this imagery of sort of feeling how it is for the body to move through water. I find quite interesting because actually our relationship with that space around us, the body of water, you know, the body moves in a way that's a little different. We've got a little resistance there. It slows the body down. So we can feel that kind of action now, even though we're just simply moving through air. We can imagine how it would be if we were moving through something thicker than air, like water, and how it might slow the body down, and it might give a real sort of sense of richness to a movement, an immersive quality to the movement. Okay, in your own time, we're going to take this up into a downward facing dog. So let's tuck the toes, let's lift up, let's press into our hands, let's draw ourselves back, and then let's feel into a little play here, a little movement across the hips. Some deep breaths. Let's walk our feet in towards each other so they're in the midline of the mat. And we're going to come down. We're going to lean forwards to bring the shoulders above the wrists. So coming towards a plank pose, we're going to just dip our knees down to lightly brush the floor with our knees. Just touch the floor. And then push through the hands, draw the knees back into extension, and slowly push yourselves back into a downward facing dog position, breathing. So with the feet together, and again, we're going to do that one more time. We're going to lean forwards to place the shoulders above the wrists. We're going to slowly let the hips lower down and then bend the knees, touch the floor, and then lift the legs into extension. And then again, push yourselves back through Adho Mukha Svanasana. And take a deep breath. Okay, we're going to raise the left leg up so we make a straight line with the body and the leg. And then we're going to lean ourselves forwards again, as we did before, to bring the shoulders above the wrists. And we're going to bend that knee as we come forwards and hover the knee above the floor. And we're going to push back again, extending that same leg up. First of all, reaching out, breathing, lowering the foot to the floor, raising the other leg up. You may lift up onto the ball of the foot and then move forwards. And as you move forwards, there'll be a point at which you want to bend your knee and draw your knee forwards. Hover it above the floor. Breathe. Push back. Re-extend the leg and place the foot down. Take a deep breath. And let's bring the knees down to the floor slowly. Walk the hands back. Sit back on your heels. Take support if you need it. And just let the body rest. So pay attention now to those more subtle sensations in your body, to your wrists, to the palms of your hands. Perhaps any sensation that might remain in the elbows, in the joints of the body. Perhaps you can have a sense of feeling the spine resettling itself, restacking. And feeling the facial muscles softening, the jaw releasing, the shoulders releasing, the breath flowing. Okay, well done. We're going to come forwards again onto our hands and knees. Do pad out your knees if you need to. We're going to lift one knee up. So if you don't like to have one knee against the floor, take some padding with the blanket. And then we're going to move through an action like cat-cow, but we're going to bring a leg into that action. And this is sometimes called the tiger pose in modern postural yoga these days. So we can raise one leg up behind us as we arch through the back. So in other words, let the spine dip. And then rounding the back, bringing the knee forwards. And then just move between that. So the spine dips as the leg lifts, as the head lifts. And then it rounds as you draw the knee and the head towards each other. Okay, well done. Let's bring that knee down. Let's shake it out a little. Have a little wiggle, have a little shimmy, have a little shake, up and down. Breathing, coming back to your hands and knees. And then in your own time, we're going to again raise up the other leg, lifting the head as the leg raises. And then lowering the head towards the knee towards the head, pushing your hands into the floor so you can get a little lift up through the back. Okay, and then once again, we'll bring that knee down. We'll shake it out, shimmy it out, move up and down your mat. So let your body travel forwards and back as you have a little shimmy and a little shake up and down. And then take a moment to again find the breath. Okay, we're going to walk our hands back towards us. If we're all comfortable to sit in a kneeling position, we're going to sit in a kneeling position, but you can take support. We're going to have a brick block at the same time. So you might want some padding underneath you with a blanket. You might want some support between your buttocks and heels or beneath your ankles. So we'll just be here for a little while, but do support yourself if you need to. So let's take our brick block and let's hold our brick block between our hands like this. Okay, you can do this with a flat block if that's all you've got at home. That will work as well, as long as it's not bendy. And we're going to bring our hands up to this level of chest height. So there's going to be a little bit of pressure that we apply into our block, a little tone in the belly and a little lift into the chest. So it's almost like we can pull the chest up in front of the block as we apply this pressure and breathe. Okay. Now, with your hand that is furthest from me, you're going to push that hand towards the other hand. There's going to be a little bit of resistance from that other hand. So you're going to turn in this direction. So the body turns and we can feel this engagement through the upper back. Let's see if we can keep our elbows lifted. That's it. Breathe. Okay, let's push back to the center. So we do keep a little bit of resistance with the back hand. but not so much that we can't move. So we push to the other side when you're ready. So there's a turn. We're keeping the elbows pretty elevated. So don't let them drop down. That's it. And then again, coming back into the center. Let's just slowly reach the arms out. Let's see if we can just hold the block there between our hands, pressing in at shoulder height. I know that this is probably fairly strong after that work, so just a couple of deep breaths. Okay, well done. Let's release that block down. Let's pop it on the floor in front of us. Release the arms. Again, just feel that release, particularly through the wrists, but into the shoulders as well. Take your knees apart. We're going to come into a supported child pose. So we're going to use the block for our head so we can keep some space through the front of the body. So let's draw the buttock flesh out and back. Let's take a little tilt forwards, bringing our hands to the floor, walking the hands forwards, and then coming down and just bringing our head onto this support of the block. You may tilt the block in towards you. And I want you to feel that you're feeding the weight of your body back towards your pelvis here, back towards your heels, back to your groin area. The breath is flowing. It's steady, it's easeful. The mind is steady and easeful. And the body is steady and easeful. Okay, well done. You can raise your head up. You can press your hands onto the floor. You can walk your hands in towards you. And we're going to release our legs. We're going to give them a little stretch out in front of us. So let's give them a little bit of movement. Okay. And we're going to take our buttock flesh out and back. And if once we've done that, we feel that we are collapsed, we can sit ourselves on a flat block. We've all got a belt nearby. Hopefully you've got that at home. We're going to have our belts and we're going to have our brick block. So we're going to have our feet a little way apart. We're going to have our brick block there. We may or may not use our block. Let's not get sort of overly caught up in that, but it's there if we do move forwards to bring our head towards it. Okay, so we're going to go for a little supported variation of Paschimottanasana. Okay, so we're going to take our belt around our feet here. So we've got our feet about hip width apart, thereabouts. We want enough space to be able to have our block there, and just between the knees. And we're going to rise up through the body. Now, because this is a really strong pose, and it can be strong at this stage of the sitting upright, it involves strong work through back muscles. We might feel into a little movement so we don't get too sort of stiff through the back muscles. So we can sway a little from side to side. We can roll our shoulders. We can have a shimmy. We can have a shake. We can breathe. And then as we rise up, we're going to breathe into the back of our legs. So maybe we can already feel that there is a little hamstring stretch here through the back of the thighs. Maybe you'll feel a little stretch at the back of the knees. So use your breath to support. And then in your own time, as you lift up through the body, as you pull on the belt, you may be able to feed your body forwards. So again, the block is there, but it's incidental. And we hold the belt. We breathe. And as you breathe, there may be a little gradual release with each exhalation. Perhaps there'll be like a millimeter of movement each time you exhale. But if we stay for enough breaths, we'll get a lot of movement into the body. Obviously, you may walk your hands down your belt, and some of you may come to reach towards the feet, and that's fine. You can catch hold of your feet if that's relatively easy for you. But let's not be in a rush. I'd really like us to let go of the constraint of time. Again, you can feel into any movement that helps you to release. Maybe a little side to side sway may help you to give to this as you breathe into the back of the legs. And of course, if you come down low enough without grasping, without force, then you can, of course, use your block to bring your head onto it or towards it. Taking deep breaths as you need to. Okay, now wherever you are, we're going to bring ourselves up. We're going to take one foot onto the block. So let's all just do the same foot. We'll all raise our right foot up onto the top of the block. We'll bring the left foot in a little closer. We're going to hold onto the belt around the left foot, the foot that's on the floor, and we're going to lift up through the body here. We're going to breathe. So it's not that we're trying to get to a forward fold, but the body may pull forwards a little. So we want to see if we can adjust our weight so it's forwards of the sitting bones. So take your time and then maybe walk your hands down your belt, and you're going to feel the depth of stretch through this raised leg, because we've got a stronger angle there at the hip on that side. So, give yourself space, time, patience, breath. Okay, ease your way back. So just take a little lean back, bring that foot back down. Let's swap it over. So we bring the other foot, the heel up onto the block. Take your belt around the foot that's on the floor. And again, we can just focus on getting this lift up. It might be that we're able to hinge into this, but let's be aware of how strong that stretch will be on the raised leg. So we don't have to move too far. But of course, we move at the pace of our body. So in the same way that we don't push the body forwards, we don't hold back either if the body wants to move in a direction and it's moving in a direction that is integrated with the whole experience, then that's fine. Of course, you can let yourself tilt into it a little more. Just take some deep breaths. Okay, wherever wherever you are in this now, just lift up, release the leg. Give the legs maybe a little bit of movement. Maybe you need to give the lower back a little rub, whatever you need. Find the breath, settle here. Okay, well done. We're going to bring ourselves up to standing. So let's come on up. Let's face in towards the center of the room and let's have a little wiggle out. So we'll probably notice how much of a stretch that was for the back of the legs coming up now. So that's it, wiggle it out. Maybe, even if you need to give the back of the thighs a little rub or a little pat down, go ahead. And that's it. Oh, it's like getting a round of applause. Okay. And we'll come to stand with our feet hip width apart. That's it. Just find your breath. That's it. Find your breath. And then just let yourself feel into it in the same way when we began the class. We just started with this little movement of our fingers. I want you to feel into the body, and then maybe there might be just a little movement somewhere that you need to pick up. It might not be a big movement. Might not be any movement at all, but if you find that perhaps there's an area of your body that you want to sort of sway into or wiggle into, move in some way to explore the body, then go ahead. So we have to listen, we have to be attentive to the body. We have to apply this kind of level of self-inquiry to our practice that allows us to instinctively know where to take the practice. Okay, so we've got our feet hip width apart. We're going to fold forwards in much the same way we did when we were seated on the floor. So we're going to hinge from the top of the thighs. We're going to keep length through the front of the body. So we're going to come down to the block. So let's bring our hands to our block to start with. So we're not moving too far. And we can take that block a little further forwards perhaps. So we keep this length in the front of the body. If we've got the block too far back, then we kind of naturally will round down to it. So taking the block forwards brings more length to the anterior spine. Okay. I'd like you to take your hand that's closest to me and just bring it behind you and place it there, the palm on the sacrum at the bottom of the spine. The other hand is on your brick. Then your knee that's furthest from me is going to bend, and you're going to feel how that carries your body into a twist. It opens the body towards this side of the room because we get this tilt of the pelvis, which guides the body to turn. Okay, we can then raise the top arm up. We can breathe. Okay, we'll bring that hand back down to the sacrum. We'll push through the bent leg. So you'll feel how that rotates your body back towards the floor. And hands, both hands to the block for a moment, to the brick. Take a breath or two. And then swapping over, bring your other hand onto your sacrum, pressing into your brick, lengthening forwards. And then bending the knee that's closest to me. So it's the same knee as the supporting hand. And then you'll get this kind of open turn of the body. That's towards the back of the room. And in that open turn towards the back of the room or away from the screen, wherever you are, you can then raise up the other arm. So we're lengthening from the bottom hand to the top hand. And we're breathing. Okay, let's bend that top elbow. Place the hand again on the sacrum. Press through the foot of the bent leg. Feel the body naturally return to the center. Bring both hands onto your brick. Take a slow, steady breath here. Okay, we'll bend our knees. We'll bring our hands onto our thighs. We'll push into the thighs, then push into the feet, and bring ourselves all the way up. And again, just pause there in Tadasana. Let the arms release. Let the forehead soften, let the jaw release. Let your breath flow. Again, feel into any movement through the fingers. It's sensitive, it pulls you into an experience of total presence with this. Okay, we're going to pick up our brick again. We're going to bring it back between our hands as we did before. So palms flat against the short ends of your brick. Elbows elevated, chest lifted, belly toned. Breathing. And then again, we're going to push. So you can push with your hand that's furthest from me. So you turn in this direction, first of all. So we push and we let the body start to turn. And then we can allow the body to turn a little more by bending that back knee again. We can feel how freeing up the pelvis will allow more turn in the body. That's it, breathing. And then pushing from the back hand to slowly rotate yourselves back to the center. Find your breath. Be patient. And then move to the other side. So again, pressing through your brick as you turn to the other side. There'll be a point at which the body stops turning, and then you may bend the knee of the leg you're turning away from, and then there'll be a little more turn probably. Okay, push with your back hand to rotate yourselves back to the center. Let's extend our arms out as we did before. So let's see if we can keep pressing into the block, extending our arms out at shoulder height, breathing. Let's see if we can press into our block and just raise our arms up. You need to press into your block because you don't want to drop your block on your head. So keep that pressure against the block. Tone in the belly, lift in the chest. Okay, let's slowly release the arms forward. You can just let the arms relax. Just hold your block there with your fingers underneath. So we can feel that little bit of weight of the block, encouraging the release of the shoulders. We can feel the breath encouraging the release of any weight that might be on our shoulders, metaphorical, energetic, emotional. Okay. Let's pop our brick blocks. So between the thighs like this. So on the sort of smallest width. Don't want to go too wide, so we're having the smallest width between the thighs, and we're going to bend down into it so we can still face in towards the short end of our mat. So we've got our feet. Just check the alignment of your feet. So your feet are aligned with each other down through the midline, and then you can spread your toes, you can draw your heels back. And then we're going to hinge from our ankles, our knees, and our hips, and we're going to sit down into an Utkatasana position. So this is like a sort of high squat type position. We keep the natural alignment of the spine as far as possible. We breathe and we squeeze. Breathe and squeeze. And then we can raise our arms up, belly toe. And again, as we often do in this posture, we can feel with it into a little bit of movement, but we want to keep that block firmly between the thighs. So we might wiggle through the hips or move through the torso, but we are keeping this engagement where we're making our adductor muscles work a little today. So breathe, and maybe we can all sit down a little lower. Deep breaths. Okay, well done. Let's push through the feet. Inhale and come all the way up. Exhale, release your arms down. Release your buttocks. And remove your brick. And then feel that release slowly coming back into the inner thigh area, maybe to the front thighs. And feel your breath returning to that steadiness. You know, I often think of the breath when we kind of get to this state where, you know, we feel really kind of steady and calm and content in our practice. It's almost like, you know, breathing over a still lake. There's a sort of spacious, broad calmness to the breath. Okay. We're going to have our brick on the floor. We can take it so it's just between the feet there. We're going to move the block anyway if we need to move it. So we're going to take a step back. So let's all just do the same foot together. So we'll all, if you come towards the front of your mat, then we can all step back. So we're going to step back with our right foot. So we'll keep the left foot forwards, we'll take the right foot back. And we're going to align ourselves towards the front end of our mat so we can lift up our back heel, internally rotate the back leg, take the heel down, maybe tease out the stretch through your calf muscles if you need to. So a little bounce through that back foot. You can walk the front foot a little wider if you need to across the width of your mat to allow the pelvis to align, the hips to align. And then let's deepen down. We're going to fold forwards into a forward fold again. So as we've done a few times this evening, it's going to be from the hip joints. We're going to keep this length through the front of the body. So if, as we fold forwards, we find that we get to a point where the body no longer moves and we haven't met our block yet, we bend the front knee to allow that to happen. So we come down, we bring our hands to our brick, and we breathe deeply into the back of that leg, the front leg. That's probably where we're mostly feeling it. And it might be that some of you have got more turn and you can keep going. You can even move your block forwards. And we may come to fold the body over the front thigh. And as we give to each breath, we want to feel another level of release. Okay. Now, if you can, just raise your head up a little. We're going to draw that block behind the leg so we can take hold of either side of the block. And again, if we've got the movement to fold the body, we can fold the body and then just take the block back wherever we can reach to it. And breathe. Okay, wonderful. Let's bring the block forwards. Let's place the brick there on the floor so we can press into the brick to come up to that midway stage. We may need to bend our front knee to get some purchase and then push through the front foot and inhale and come up. Well done. Take a moment to feel the release from the pose. And then when you're ready, lifting up the back heel, we can step ourselves forwards. And again, we might wiggle it out, bounce it out, shake it out. And then coming back to stand, coming back to breathe, coming back to just relax into it, to melt into it. So this idea of melting, of dissolving, Laya yoga, we call this. It is effectively an offering of ourselves into it so completely that, you know, we may as well sort of melt into it. There's a merging experience with the posture. Okay. We're going to step the other foot back. So it should be our left foot stepping back now. So let's step back that foot. Take a good generous step back. You might lift up the heel. You might internally rotate the leg and place the foot back down. And you can lift and lower if you need to work into your calf muscles. You can walk your other foot a little wider. You can let the body turn towards the short end of your mat. You can deepen through the feet. You can rise up through the torso. You can tone your belly. You can lift your chest. And then in your own time, you can take a little forward fold into this. So we can hinge ourselves down towards our brick. And if you need to bend your front knee to meet your brick, then do. So don't simply hinge through the spine. Keep the hinge point as your hip joints. And of course, as you release further into it, if you've got the movement to go further into it, there is a point at which the spine gets involved in that we can allow the back to round into it, but only once we've kind of gone past the level of the hips. So we don't just hang off the spine. Deep breaths. Okay, we'll raise the head up a little. If you lowered it down, we'll take the brick behind us so we can have the brick between our hands, and maybe we'll draw the brick back as the body folds forwards. And of course, you're still welcome to bend that front knee if you need to. Okay, well done. Let's bring that brick forward so we can press into the brick and bring the body halfway up. Bending the front knee, that will help you to get that purchase to come up because of the stretch of the hamstrings. It can be kind of hard to pull ourselves back up from that. And then when you're ready, let's take a step forwards. Let's shake it out, bounce it out, wiggle it out. And again. Come back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Acknowledge the steadiness that this posture offers us, the stillness, the quietness and calmness. And allow yourself to embrace that steady, still, quiet, calm experience of Tadasana. Because to fully embrace our experience as it is to move into yoga. It's a joining with the experience. Let's take a couple of slower, deeper breaths of full awareness. Okay, once we've taken those breaths, we are going to take one of two arm positions. So I'll just show you. So your hand's going to come behind you, and you're either going to bring your hands into this position whereby you're bringing your hands into this what we call Paschima Namaskar, which is a reverse prayer position like this. If your hands only come to about here, then I want you to take hold of your elbows rather than bringing your hands up. I'm going to hold my elbows tonight because I'm working with a mouse-induced shoulder injury, which is giving me some trouble at the moment. So, yes, yoga MAs are not good for the body. Yoga is, but studying yoga isn't. So we'll take hold. There we go, like so. And then, or with the reverse prayer position, we're going to take a step back. So we'll step back with our right foot first. So we'll have the left foot forwards, the right foot back. And we're going to press through the feet. We're going to rise up through the body. We're going to tone the belly. We're going to lift the chest. We're going to breathe. And then as we lift and lengthen, we're going to fold ourselves over in exactly the same way we did a moment ago. So we're going to come forwards. We're going to breathe. We might need to bend that front knee if we get to a point where we get stuck and we're not moving, or if it feels too tight through the back of the leg, feel free to bend the knee and fold forwards into that. And then again, you can come down, breathing. Okay, we're going to raise the head. Again, we might bend the knee so we can really get that purchase and just bring the body up really smoothly. We're going to lift up the back heel and we're going to step forwards. You may, if you need to release your arms for a moment and give them a little bit of movement, you can give them a little bit of movement. You can sort of shake it out again, bounce it out, wiggle it out, breathe it out. And then when you're ready, again, taking either of those positions, so the reverse prayer position or the holding the elbow position, and we'll step back with our left foot this time. So we can take the right foot a little wider, so helping our hips to turn towards the short end of the mat, lifting up the back heel, internally rotating the back leg, placing the foot down. Taking a deep breath or two, lifting up through the body. So we want length in the torso when we offer ourselves down into this. So tone the belly, lift the chest, breathe and hinge from your hip joints. And then just let yourself come down at your own pace. And it might be that you just come to a point where you pause and that's where you stay, and that is perfectly fine. It might be that you come down with a bent knee, and that is also perfectly fine. It might be that you come further down with your leg extended, and that's also perfectly fine. Breath nice and steady. Okay, we're going to raise the head up. We're going to bend the front knee. We're going to push through that foot, and we're going to inhale and come all the way up. Well done. We're going to lift up the back heel. We're going to step ourselves forwards. We're going to release our arms slowly, and maybe we'll give them a little movement, a little swing out, maybe the body a little movement, have a little side to side sway, whatever it is that you need. That's it. Yeah, a little swing around. It's nice. And then just come back to Tadasana with the feet in towards each other. So let's draw everything into the midline now. Like we're almost sucking all of our energy into this central line. We're going to release the arms down. We're going to find that little light lift up through the chest. The forehead is going to soften. The jaw is going to release. Breath is going to flow. Okay, well done. We're going to come down onto the floor again. So let's come down, and we're going to come towards the front of our mat. We're going to come into a cross-legged posture. Okay, so we can be at the front end, and we sometimes do this, which you're welcome to do it. We normally do it on 2 blocks. You're welcome to at home. If you want to do this, we stack ourselves up onto a couple of blocks, but we can do it without blocks as well. But we might need a little bit of support of the blanket. If you find that you feel tight through the inner thighs, through the hips or groin area, you'll definitely need that support. So you'll need a blanket kind of underneath the shins like this, so you can be supported. Okay, so Supta Sukhasana. I'm going to lay down. We're going to place our hands on the floor behind us once we've crossed our legs, taken support. We're going to draw the buttocks forwards. So that's going to take us down a little lower. So then we'll come down onto our forearms, and we'll do the same thing again. We'll press into the forearms. We'll have a little adjustment of the buttocks forwards, and then we'll come down, and then we'll lay ourselves down, and we'll extend the arms above our head. Okay, so walk out the arms. If you've come down and maybe you haven't taken support, but then you get a little niggle in the body somewhere, in the groin, in the hip, in the inner thigh, then, feel free in studio to let me know if you need me to bring you something. Obviously at home you'll have to take care of yourselves, but it might mean that you just need to lift your legs up like this, and then you can kind of pop your blanket in from this angle, holding onto the sides of the blanket as it's across your shins, and then you can lower down and it should stay in place as a nice support. Okay, so you can easily support yourself. And I'd like us to take some extended breaths here. So slow and steady. So there's a feeling that we are approaching the breath in a way that we want to kind of nurture the breath, or we want to nurture the experience of the breath. So slow, steady, deep inhalations, slow, steady, releasing exhalations. And feeling those slow, steady, deep inhalations as a a drawing in of clarity to the body into our experience. It's kind of a mindful process that there's such a clear experience of what that inhalation feels like. And it's cool, it's calm, that it feels like it clears space in the head, each inhalation. Like we can almost sweep out our brain with our breath. And then as we exhale, we let go of any of the debris that might be there that we sweep away. We feel that there is a quality of, totally settling into this, totally giving to this. So one stage of the breath, the inhalation, offers us quality of insight. The other stage, the exhalation, offers us a quality of calming. Okay, we are going to change the cross of our legs. Now, even if you've got support, it can be done in situ, but of course, if in doubt, you can bring yourselves up. But if you uncross your legs, place your feet on the floor, you might need to lift and lengthen the pelvis forwards again, and then you cross the legs in the opposite direction. You can grab your support, you can pop it in front of the shins, you can hold onto it and then lower your legs down. But if you feel like that doesn't quite get it in the right position for you, you can come up, tucking your chin forwards, pushing into your arms quite firmly to bring yourselves up. And then again, once we're there, we've got our arms out above our head or out wider if we would like to. You are welcome, of course, to place your hands on your body too. And then again, we just give to this in our own time, in our own way. Recognizing that there's a kind of preciousness to this moment here, that this is a moment that is a moment of, or an opportunity of realization, an opportunity of, real kind of knowledge or wisdom to come forth. It's an opportunity to let go of all of the elements of being that sometimes cloud that that vision of reality as it is in any given moment. So our conditioning is released. Our sense of self is released. Our sense of anything that is preconditioned or preconceived is released. So what then arises is just, what we could think of as the purity of this moment, as it is. Okay, well done. We're going to release from this now. And we're going to release from it by uncrossing the legs, placing the feet to the floor, perhaps pressing into the feet to lengthen out the lower back. Taking a few breaths, you might need to step your feet a little further forward. You might need to have a little rock across the back of the pelvis. Maybe you need to bring the knees in and have a rock or a little hug of your knees. You're welcome to do that and rock across your back. Mind, body, breath, heart. All giving to this, all receiving this. Okay, we're going to release our feet down now. Taking your arms out wide. We're going to take that little gentle twisting action that we often take, just dropping the knees from one side and then to the other, just rocking across the back of the pelvis. Breathing. Okay, and then coming back into the center. And it's from here that we're going to prepare to lay ourselves down for our yoganidra practice. So get whatever you need, obviously, in the studio. I'll get the eye pillows for anyone who wants an eye pillow from the back room, and I can bring bolsters as well. Bolster, you're gonna go? Why not? Treat yourself. Anyone else for a bolster? All happy? Good. So I'll let you all get settled and then I'll turn down the lights. And make sure you're warm, and likewise at home, make sure you've got blankets, you've got support for your head if you need it. So if you're on a hard floor, a little bit of head support is definitely worth doing, or having rather, because the floor can feel hard after a while. Do you want a bolster, Lee? Yeah, okay, go on. So make sure you're really comfortable. So first of all, we can just feel into our body as it is, as we've been feeling into it throughout the class. Paying attention to the body as a whole, the experience of the entire body. but also allowing ourselves to be aware of any experiences that arise in different parts of the body. So there is an overall spacious presence within the body, but there is also a refined attention that is able to observe the subtlest sensations and experiences that arise. So we may begin by just taking some slower, deeper breaths into the body here. And as we take those slower, deeper breaths, there is a natural settling of the body, of the mind, of the heart. There may be a tangible calming that we're able to feel. And we'll just take a moment to observe any sounds that we can hear in the distance, in the near distance, and in the space that we're practicing in. We can notice any other experiences of the senses, whether there is any odor detectable, any taste, obviously contact, we can feel into that. And we can have a sense of being able to feel the body here in this space. And as we follow each of these senses, we follow the experience of the sense into the receiving point. And that is into an experience of consciousness. It is consciousness that allows us to be aware. So everything is fed back in to awareness. And as we feed everything back into awareness itself, we can repeat to ourselves, I'm practicing yoganidra. And we can return our attention to the breath, almost losing ourselves in its rhythmic flow. And as we really drop into this rhythmic flow so completely, again, there's another tangible level of release. We can feel that layers of holding fall away, layers of conditioning is able to fall away. Layers of being someone is just able to fall away in this moment. So there is just simply being. So we'll take a little journey around our own body. You can follow my voice through your body. and feel that it's a real traveling through a rich experience of each location and the journey between each location, experienced on all levels of sensory perception. Coming into your toes, the toenails, the balls of the feet, the arches of the feet, the heels, the top of the feet, the ankles, the shins, the calves, the front of the knees, back of the knees, the front thighs, the back of the thighs, the pelvic floor, the buttocks, the lower deep belly, the navel, the waist, the lower back, the middle back, the upper belly, front of the rib cage, the heart and lungs, the chest, the upper back, the collarbones, the shoulders, the armpits, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the back of the hands, the palms of the hands, fingers and thumbs, the fingernails, the tips of the fingers, back of the neck, the throat, the back of the head, the chin, the jaw, mouth, nostrils, cheeks, eyes, temples, forehead, top of the head, now feeling into the surface of your skin, across your entire body, feeling vibrant in the body, yet calm. Let your awareness move down through the surface of the skin, deepening into the fleshy tissue, moving through muscles and fat cells, and veins and arteries and fascia, connective tissue, and moving through organs, and moving down into the bones, and feeling your body as the skeletal body lying here. Visualizing the connection points between each bone of your body. And as we drop down into the deepest visible parts of the body, we're then going to rise out of those parts again, just moving through the body until we feel that we push our awareness out through the surface of our skin. And we take some slow, deeper breaths. into this. And then we'll feel into a little movement into the fingers and toes. We'll feel into some slower, deeper breaths. And we'll feel that we can just start to reach out to just very subtly animate our body. And as we do this, we'll repeat to ourselves, my yoga nidra practice is complete. We'll let the breath respond naturally. And then in our own time, we'll slowly bend our knees and place our feet to the floor. Finding your breath here. And then once again, in your own time, you may roll yourselves onto your side to face away from the window, away from the screen, and just pause there. And then once again, you may roll over onto your other side and just take a little pause there too. And then slowly in your own time, you may start to bring yourselves up and out with movements, with deeper breaths, whatever you need. Come to sit in any comfortable seated posture. And we'll close the class together. So as usual, we'll chant Om 3 times together. Taking a breath in to prepare. Om. 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 Thank you all very much. Namaste, Namo Buddhaya. Reference to you all. Thank you. Lovely to see you all. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, online guys. Nice to see you too. And I'll see you soon. Thank you. Oh, good. Bye.